Doing today? Welcome to another episode number 2 of Talk About It Thursdays. It's February 28th, 2019, and we're going to get into another 1980s baseball story. So last week we covered minor league ball hawking 1980s story, and that's a super fun episode. Definitely go check that out. It's really fun to do these episodes because I'm just reliving my childhood memories, and I'm sure a lot of people had the same memories. And then my also hope is that people my age will create these same memories with their children. I have 2 small young kids, so they're just starting, but I'm getting my 4-year-old into collecting a little bit, and we're going to sporting events. And my daughter's only 4 or 5 months, so she's not quite anywhere near this, but we're going to grow, and hopefully me reminiscing about these stories will also keep it on the forefront of my mind how important it is to spend time with your family, how much sports can bring people together, and how enjoyable they can be, and what great memories they can make. I'm 40 years old, and these memories are 30 plus years old, so it's pretty impressive to think that this stuff is still fresh in the mind, and you can think back on it as some of the best times of your life, even when you were really young. So that's kind of what Talk About It Thursdays is all about. And they won't always be 1980s baseball stories or anything. We can talk about anything. So definitely going to be talking about lots of other topics. And like I said, even though they're stories, the stories will be different and revolve around sports and baseball card collecting and actually sports card collecting and stuff like that. So hopefully you enjoy. And all that being said, let's get right into it. So this episode, we're going to call the Great Bill Ripken Air Card Chase of 1989, I guess. And kind of the background and the backdrop of this is, if you can picture this, is in 1989. This is 1989 Fleer, I believe. Pretty sure. And my family used to go, 1989 Fleer. So this is 1989. So this is the 80s, the late 80s. Imagine that. And my family used to go to spring training every year in Arizona. So we would always take a trip out to Arizona to go see spring training. Now, I don't know how it is today. Like I said, this is all old stuff, and I'm just getting back into collecting and learning about sports in more detail. You know, I've always watched sports and loved sports and played sports and do a ton of daily fantasy sports, but never really have gotten into the hobby side of the card collecting side in 20 plus years, and also never really even thought about a lot of like the minor details of sports or learning, increasing my sports knowledge to levels that people can appreciate and learn from and stuff like that. But anyway, in the 1980s minor leagues, they were split up between Florida and Arizona. So like half the baseball teams would play minor leagues in Arizona and half the baseball teams would play the minor leagues in Florida. We never went to the Florida ones at all, but we'd always go to the Arizona ones. And I don't know how many years we went, but I want to say we went a good like 4, 5, 6 years in a row, somewhere in that range, 4 to 6, 4 to 7 years in a row to Arizona. And it was like a vacation, and but it was pretty much all focused on going to spring training games. So my mom, of course, would be relaxing and doing whatever, but me and my dad would, we'd probably be seeing a game or two even every day. We would be up early in the morning, autograph hunting, trying to meet the players. And back in the 80s, I know it's hard to picture this, and even the kids probably can't even understand this, but I guess just because how times were so different and how everything, wasn't so secure, but there was literally, the security was almost non-existent at these things. You had access to the players. These are all the star pro baseball players, but the thing about it is that these are stadiums that aren't major league stadiums, and these are also professionals that are just in the off season, and they're not the game. The games aren't serious. They're not taking everything like it's playoff time or anything like that. So they're pretty laid back. They're just getting back into training and working out and hanging out with the guys. And so that's kind of the feel is, it's literally no security, super relaxed field. The stadiums are much smaller and more intimate. And so we would go to these. And I remember one year, and like I said, my dad and I loved to collect cards. My dad I don't know, he just loved to collect sports cards. And I remember in 1989, we learned that this Bill Ripken F-face error card came out, and there was basically a nasty word written on the bat in black, FUC. I'm sure you can figure it out. And I'm sure everybody knows about it too. It's a really famous card, even people that don't even sports card collect. I'm sure might even remember that card, or it gets brought up from time and time again. I think even the Jabs family recently bought a really rare version of that card. So, but yeah, that card was out in 1989, and we happened to learn about it while we were at spring training. And once we realized, it was really hot in the hobby too. Like, everybody was talking about it, and the Fleer was the maker of the card, basically corrected the card very quickly. So there was tons of versions of the card. Basically, it was the F-face that came out first. Then they tried to recall those or stop the printing of those, basically get rid of those. And then they put a black box around one version, and then they put like a whiteout scribble around another version. And then, like I said, Jabs had some super, super rare version that was like cut, where they just tried to destroy the sheets of the card. So there's that version. And I think there might even be one or two other versions that I'm not thinking about. But yeah, there was, 4 or 5 versions of this card. And the thing about spring training in Arizona in 89 Fleer is this stuff was mass produced, and they actually carried it at the gas stations, I remember. And I want to say the gas station was 7-Eleven, but I want to say there's no way it could have been 7-Eleven back then. But this is the 80s, 89 in Arizona. And most of it was in Scottsdale, Arizona, but we did travel to Yuma and Tempe and some other places where they had games. Like, I think the Padres were like way down in Yuma, and you had to drive an hour or whatever to get there, 2 hours. So there was some weird stuff like that. But most of this stuff, if you can picture this, Scottsdale, Arizona, the late 1980s, very, desert, super hot, amazing place to play baseball in spring. This was in a super hot time when there was this is McGuire, Canseco, Griffey Jr. All these guys are coming up and playing, and they all played on the West Coast too. So I got to see most of like the really, really big names, because the A's were in Arizona, and the Mariners were in Arizona. So a lot of the big, huge sport baseball names were actually on the West Coast. But anyways, back to the Fleer card. So we realized these packs and these boxes are in the gas station. I want to say 7-Eleven, but I don't know. And then they were also in a grocery store, but it was a grocery store that I can't remember the name, because it was like an Arizona grocery store, and we lived in California and Texas before that. So I just don't remember the name of that specific grocery store. It's like one of those grocery stores that's like only specific to an area, like H-E-B in Texas. They don't have H-E-Bs in California. So if you live in California, you don't even know about it. But the point is, the Fleer product was in these grocery stores, and it was at these gas stations. And I can remember once my dad found out about this card, and I was young too. If it's 89, I was about 10 or 11 years old. So I'm super young, 10-year-old kid. And I can remember my dad driving us all over Arizona and buying every box pack he could find. We would stop at every gas station. We would go to every grocery store, and we must have went to hundreds of gas stations and grocery stores. And I mean, he probably bought, I don't even want to estimate, but he would literally buy every single box they had at every single place. And, some places would have 3, 4, 5 boxes, I guess. So, I mean, he must have bought cases and cases of that stuff. And I can just remember that one spring of us just driving everywhere. And I'll never forget those packs. They're like kind of like light gray with yellow and red on them. And I'm literally remembering this from the 80s, and I'm pretty sure, I mean, it might not be perfect description, but I can remember, I won't even say it had like Gary Carter on the front or something, but I remember this like kind of like lightish gray, and I think there's some yellow and some red, and this is literally just from memory from that long ago. But yeah, I always got a kick out of that. And I remember and we would just break them all and just look for the Ripkens. And I think that might have been Griffey Jr. was in there. His rookie was in there. That I think that was hot, that we really liked. And then I don't know, Gary Sheffield maybe, or something like that. But yeah, I'd have to, like I said, the memory's not perfect, but I can vividly remember driving around in 1989 spring training year and looking for those Fleer products and those Fleer packs at Arizona grocery stores and gas stations. and I was going to kick it out. Oh, and like I said, I think we found pretty much all variations of the card. So I think, we got, and there was other people doing this. I remember too. There was other baseball card collecting was actually really, really big back then, because there was tons of sports card shops in Arizona. I remember we would go to, and there was lots of hobby collectors and stuff like that. So I think other of the baseball card shops were doing the same thing. But anyways, yeah, we definitely I think we got all three, the black box, the white scribble, and the actual Air F face card. And the F face cards, I think, dried up pretty quick because I think they were pulling them, and then people would were saying we're hunting them. So those got dried up pretty quick. It would be super rare, but sometimes you would go like I said, my dad would drive to a far, far town or somewhere no one probably even knew about this or whatever, and try to get them, and hopefully they would be the first edition or the one with the F face or whatever. And I don't even remember. I don't even have no idea where those cards went or what happened to them, or I don't know. I was looking on eBay, I guess, today, and they don't look to be. They were like $5 to $10, I guess. You can get them for like $10, probably, whatever one you want, or $5.50 or best offer. Oh, reprint. No, maybe not that one. No, I'm looking for the real deal. So I guess maybe 10 to 15 to 20 for the real deal. But anyways, yep, that's my 1980s Fleer, Bill Ripken, Air card, spring training chase story with my dad. And I guess I'm sure other people have similar stories like that. So leave it in the comments what you remember about your most famous card chase was, and hit the like button and the subscribe button. I would love to do that. And yeah, this was another episode of Talk About It Thursdays, and catch up soon. Tomorrow's going to be Flashback Fridays, and yeah, putting out a video a day. So thank you everybody for listening. Really appreciate every single person that listens and leaves a comment or contacts me through my website, lineuplegends.com. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Talk soon.